Gorilla. Gorillas are herbivorous, predominantly ground-dwelling great apes that inhabit the tropical forests of equatorial Africa. The genus Gorilla is divided into two species, the eastern gorilla and the western gorilla, and either 4 or 5 subspecies. The DNA of gorillas is highly similar to that of humans, from 95 to 99% depending on what is included, and they are the next closest living relatives to humans after chimpanzees and bonobos. Gorilla. Scientific classification, Kingdom, Animalia, Phylum, Chordata, Class, Mammalia, Order, Primates, Suborder, Haplorhini, Infraorder, Simiforms, Family, Hominidae. Subfamily, Homininae, Tribe, Gorillini, Genus, Gorilla. Isidore Geoffroy Saint Hilaire, 1852. Type species, Troglodytes gorilla savage, 1847. Species. Gorilla gorilla. Gorilla Baringi. Synonyms, Pseudogorilla Elliott, 1913. Gorillas are the largest living primates, reaching heights between 1.25 and 1.8 meters, weights between 100 and 270 kilograms, and arm spans up to 2.6 meters, depending on species and sex. They tend to live in troops, with the leader being called a silverback. The eastern gorilla is distinguished from the western by darker fur color and some other minor morphological differences. Gorillas tend to live 35 to 40 years in the wild. The oldest gorilla ever is Fatu, who is still alive at the advanced age of 65 years. Gorillas' natural habitats cover tropical or subtropical forests in sub-Saharan Africa. Although their range covers a small percentage of sub-Saharan Africa, gorillas cover a wide range of elevations. The mountain gorilla inhabits the Albertine Rift montane cloud forests of the Virunga volcanoes, ranging in altitude from 2,200 to 4,300 meters. Lowland gorillas live in dense forests and lowland swamps and marshes as low as sea level, with western lowland gorillas living in central West African countries and eastern lowland gorillas living in the Democratic Republic of the Congo near its border with Rwanda. There are thought to be around 316,000 western gorillas in the wild, and 5,000 eastern gorillas. Both species are classified as critically endangered by the IUCN. All subspecies are classified as critically endangered with the exception of the mountain gorilla, which is classified as endangered. There are many threats to their survival, such as poaching, habitat destruction, and disease, which threaten the survival of the species. However, conservation efforts have been successful in some areas where they live. Etymology. The word, gorilla, comes from the history of Hanno the Navigator, a Carthaginian explorer on an expedition to the West African coast to the area that later became Sierra Leone. Members of the expedition encountered savage people, the greater part of whom were women, whose bodies were hairy, and whom our interpreters called gorillae. It is unknown whether what the explorers encountered were what we now call gorillas, another species of ape or monkeys, or humans. Skins of gorillae women, brought back by Hanno, are reputed to have been kept at Carthage until Rome destroyed the city 350 years later at the end of the Punic Wars, 146 BC. The American physician and missionary Thomas Stoughton Savage and naturalist Jeffries Wyman first described the western gorilla in 1847 from specimens obtained in Liberia. They called it Troglodytes gorilla, using the then current name of the chimpanzee genus. The species name was derived from ancient Greek Gorillae tribe of hairy women, as described by Hanno. Evolution and classification. The closest relatives of gorillas are the other two homininae genera, chimpanzees and humans, all of them having diverged from a common ancestor about 7 million years ago. Human gene sequences differ only 1.6% on average from the sequences of corresponding gorilla genes, but there is further difference in how many copies each gene has. Until recently, gorillas were considered to be a single species, with 3 subspecies, the western lowland gorilla, the eastern lowland gorilla and the mountain gorilla. There is now agreement that there are 2 species, each with 2 subspecies. More recently, a third subspecies has been claimed to exist in one of the species. The separate species and subspecies developed from a single type of gorilla during the Ice Age, when their forest habitats shrank and became isolated from each other. Primatologists continue to explore the relationships between various gorilla populations. The species and subspecies listed here are the ones upon which most scientists agree. The proposed third subspecies of gorilla Baringi, which has not yet received a trenomen, is the Bhivindi population of the mountain gorilla, sometimes called the Bhivindi gorilla. Some variations that distinguish the classifications of gorilla include varying density, size, hair color, length, culture, and facial widths. Population genetics of the lowland gorillas suggest that the western and eastern lowland populations diverged around 261,000 years ago. Characteristics: wild male gorillas weigh 136 to 227 kilograms, while adult females weigh 68 to 113 kg. Adult males are 1.4 to 1.8 meters tall, with an arm span that stretches from 2.3 to 2.6 meters. Female gorillas are shorter at 1.25 to 1.5 meters, with smaller arm spans. Colin Groves calculated the average weight of 42 wild adult male gorillas at 144 kilograms, while Smith and Jungers found the average weight of 19 wild adult male gorillas to be 169 kilograms. Adult male gorillas are known as silverbacks due to the characteristic silver hair on their backs reaching to the hips. The tallest gorilla recorded was a 1.95 meters silverback with an arm span of 2.7 meters, a chest of 1.98 meters, and a weight of 219 kilograms, shot in Limbongo, Northern Kivu in May 1938. The heaviest gorilla recorded was a 1.83 meters silverback shot in Umbam, Cameroon, which weighed 267 kg. Males in captivity can be overweight and reach weights up to 310 kg. The eastern gorilla is more darkly colored than the western gorilla, with the mountain gorilla being the darkest of all. The mountain gorilla also has the thickest hair. The western lowland gorilla can be brown or grayish with a reddish forehead. In addition, gorillas that live in lowland forest are more slender and agile than the more bulky mountain gorillas. The eastern gorilla also has a longer face and broader chest than the western gorilla. Like humans, gorillas have individual fingerprints. Their eye color is dark brown, framed by a black ring around the iris. Gorilla facial structure is described as mandibular prognatism, that is, the mandible protrudes farther out than the maxilla. Adult males also have a prominent sagittal crest. Gorillas move around by knuckle walking, although they sometimes walk upright for short distances, typically while carrying food or in defensive situations. A 2018 study investigating the hand posture of 77 mountain gorillas at Bhivindi Impenetrable National Park found that knuckle walking was done only 60% of the time, and they also supported their weight on their fists, the backs of their hands, feet, and on their palms, soles. Such a range of hand postures was previously thought to have been used by only orangutans. Studies of gorilla handedness have yielded varying results, with some arguing for no preference for either hand, and others right hand dominance for the general population. Studies have shown gorilla blood is not reactive to anti-A and anti-B monoclonal antibodies, which would, in humans, indicate type O blood. Due to novel sequences, though, it is different enough to not conform with the human Abo blood group system, into which the other great apes fit. A gorilla's lifespan is normally between 35 and 40 years, although zoo gorillas may live for 50 years or more. Kolo, a female western gorilla at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, was the oldest known gorilla at 60 years of age when she died on the 17th of January 2017. Ozzy was 61 years old at the time of his death in January 2022. Intelligence. Gorillas are considered highly intelligent. A few individuals in captivity, such as Coco, have been taught a subset of sign language. Like the other great apes, gorillas can laugh, grieve, have rich emotional lives, develop strong family bonds, make and use tools, and think about the past and future. Some researchers believe gorillas have spiritual feelings or religious sentiments. They have been shown to have cultures in different areas revolving around different methods of food preparation, and will show individual color preferences. Tool use. The following observations were made by a team led by Thomas Brewer of the Wildlife Conservation Society in September 2005. Gorillas are now known to use tools in the wild. A female gorilla in the Nubale Ndoki National Park in the Republic of Congo was recorded using a stick as if to gauge the depth of water whilst crossing a swamp. A second female was seen using a tree stump as a bridge and also as a support whilst fishing in the swamp. This means all of the great apes are now known to use tools. In September 2005, a 2.5-year-old gorilla in the Republic of Congo was discovered using rocks to smash open palm nuts inside a game sanctuary. While this was the first such observation for a gorilla, over 40 years previously, chimpanzees had been seen using tools in the wild, fishing for termites. Non-human great apes are endowed with semi-precision grips, and have been able to use both simple tools and even weapons, such as improvising a club from a convenient fallen branch. Cultural significance. In Cameroon's Lebialim Highlands, folk stories connect people and gorillas via totems. A gorilla's death means the connected person will die also. This creates a local conservation ethic. Many different indigenous peoples interact with wild gorillas. Some have detailed knowledge. The Baka have words to distinguish at least 10 types of gorilla individuals, by sex, age, and relationships. In 1861, alongside tales of hunting enormous gorillas, the traveler and anthropologist Paul Du Chillu reported the Cameroonian story that a pregnant woman who sees a gorilla will give birth to a baby gorilla. In 1911, the anthropologist Albert Jenks noted the Bulu people's knowledge of gorilla behavior and ecology, and their gorilla stories. In one such story, The Gorilla and the Child, a gorilla speaks to people, seeking help and trust, and stealing a baby. A man accidentally kills the baby while attacking the gorilla. Even far from where gorillas live, savanna tribes pursue cult-like worship of the apes. Some beliefs are widespread among indigenous peoples. The Fang name for gorilla is Ngi while the Bulu name is Nyamong. The root Ngi means fire, denoting a positive energy. From the Central African Republic to Cameroon and Gabon, stories of reincarnations as gorillas, totems, and transformations similar to those recorded by Du Chillu are still told in the 21st century. Since gaining international attention, gorillas have been a recurring element of many aspects of popular culture and media. They were usually portrayed as murderous and aggressive. Inspired by Emmanuel Fremiet's gorilla carrying off a woman, gorillas have been depicted kidnapping human women. This theme was used in films such as Ingagi and most notably King Kong. The comedic play The Gorilla, which debuted in 1925, featured an escaped gorilla taking a woman from her house. Several films would use the escaped gorilla trope, including The Strange Case of Dr. R.X. 1942, The Gorilla Man 1943, Gorilla at Large 1954, and the Disney cartoons The Gorilla Mystery 1930, and Donald Duck and the Gorilla 1944. Gorillas have been used as opponents to jungle-themed heroes such as Tarzan and Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, as well as superheroes. The DC Comics supervillain Gorilla Grodd is an enemy of the Flash. Gorillas also serve as antagonists in the 1968 film Planet of the Apes. More positive and sympathetic portrayals of gorillas include the films Son of Kong 1933, Mighty Joe Young 1949, Gorillas in the Mist 1988, and Instinct 1999, and the 1992 novel Ishmael. Gorillas have been featured in video games as well, notably Donkey Kong. Thank you. Please subscribe and share this channel.